at 10 a.m. and a repeat broadcast on Saturday at 12:30 p.m. My music and I, refreshing and exciting. Don't miss it.
The captivating Eyo Festival of the Yoruba people. NTA International News.
Nigeria's military repels suspected Boko Haram attack in Yobe State. Kashimbila Dam ready for commissioning February next year. Relief comes the way of stroke patients as Nigerian doctor partners Shorpy to establish stroke centers. Effective security of Gulf of Guinea maritime domain at heart of inaugural meeting of ECOWAS maritime chiefs. Hello there, so good to have you join us on NTA International News. I am Oku Ekpeyong. Gunmen suspected to be Boko Haram members have launched a late evening attack on Damagum, headquarters of the Funi local government area of Yobe State. Residents fled the town on hearing sound of gunshots and explosions. The insurgents burnt telecommunication masts and attacked military checkpoints. Umar Isabununu reports that the attack was repelled as reinforcement came from Damaturu. No casualty was recorded as at the time of filing this report. The Kashimbila multi-purpose dam project is expected to be ready for commissioning by early February 2015. This is the brief which Ministers of Water Resources, Tourism, Power and Minister of State for Power got on their visit to the project site in Taraba State, from where Musbao Dan Wahab reports.
The most expected moment on the Kashimbila multipurpose dam project is now in sight. For that moment to come as scheduled, Water Resources Minister Sarah Chekwe was joined by other relevant ministers and their permanent secretaries to press home the commitment of the government towards the completion of the project.
So this is the level we are now, and the dam is about...
The consultants briefed the team on the progress of work, but they would also like to see the reality on ground, and the reality indeed excites the team.
It's always exciting when you start something and you can see it coming to completion, and not just completion, that it will be put into effective use. As at 2010, when the President assumed duty as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, this project was at 10% completion. But today, as we speak to you, it's at 95% completion.
They are not only excited, but the hitherto vulnerable states of Taraba, Benue, Kogi, Cross River and Delta will now be safe from any further breakage of Lake Nios in Cameroon, but also that the water treatment plant, which will be providing water for about 400,000 people, is about 40% complete, while the 40 megawatts capacity hydropower station is at 89%.
The transmission infrastructure that will be put in place here will strengthen the entire Taraba state, moving to Benue, Plateau, etc., so that we have a more reliable and stable electricity grid in this part of the country.
Long after the cranes and the pipes and, all the earth-moving equipment have moved away, the people move in. And the people move in because this is a location that nature has endowed incredibly. So I am looking forward to this project being perhaps the biggest authentic ecotourism mixed development facilities in Africa.
Time to smile as the ministers have got a message to take to the president. That is, he has assignments of the project commissioning by early February 2015. From Kashimbila in Takum local government area of Taraba State, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
Turning to health now, the incessant conflicts and unhealthy rivalries among medical professionals has caught the attention of the federal government as President Jonathan pledges to implement the recommendation of the Presidential Committee of Experts on Interprofessional Relationships in the Public Health Sector. Correspondent Shegulawole reports that the President directed that the white paper on it be issued with a view to ending the conflict.
The Special Presidential Committee, headed by the former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Yahali Ahmed, was put in place in September 2013 to look into the challenges of the nation's public health sector, as frequently occasioned by unhealthy rivalry by different professional cadres in the sector, thereby compromising efficiency and effectiveness in healthcare delivery. President Goodluck Jonathan, while receiving the report of the committee, which commenced operations 8 months after inauguration, expressed commitment to bring an end to the conflict among public health care professionals in the country.
I feel extremely sad, and most Nigerians also appreciate that the number of industrial actions we witness in the medical profession does not speak well for the country. Secretary to Government, this report, between the first and the second week of January, the white paper must be out. This report will be a major achievement in government, a great history that it will stabilize the medical profession so that this daily, weekly, monthly industrial actions will be limited.
The committee had discovered 50 areas of conflict, which among others included organizational management issue, leadership and teamwork, remuneration, and governance, and therefore recommended that the National Healthcare Commission should superintend all tertiary institutions and regulatory agencies in the public health sector.
Governance issues consist of cross-cutting matters affecting the entire spectrum of the federal public service and in some respect the state services, which needed to be addressed in order to improve the quality of public administration in Nigeria. It will also help eliminate the recurrence of such issues in the other sectors of the federal public service for better performance, productivity, and service delivery.
President Jonathan also held an audience with the Super Eagles captain Joseph Yobo, who is now championing the cause of sensitizing the grassroots on the efforts of the Jonathan-led administration in youth development and transformation.
I'm here to endorse Mr. President, His Excellency the President of our great nation, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, for his re-election. I think he has done so well. So as a youth, I stand for the youth. As a youth, he deserves a second term. He deserves another term to complete or to push forward the good work that he has started. I do believe in this legacy of the transformation agenda, and that's why this word-to-word initiative is building on that legacy.
In the State House, Shegulawole, NTA News.
Meanwhile, for people with stroke or potentials of hypertension and high level of cholesterol, there is a good news in the air. A Nigerian doctor practicing in the United Kingdom is partnering with Shopi to open a major stroke center in Nigeria. Correspondent Uche Nwizu tells us more.
It is a story pleasing to hear, especially for persons with tendency for hypertension or high level of cholesterol. A new medical partnership is endorsed between Shopi and this Nigerian doctor, Ruben Obaru, who has been practicing in the UK. Under the partnership, the Nigerian doctor will open a stroke center in Abuja, while Shopi will provide land for the center.
We have been in the care industry in the UK. My wife has been looking after people with stroke, with dementia and the like for over 20 years. Why can't we do this in our country?
Starting in the new year, and the federal government has done so much by providing the fund under Shopi.
This will translate in better services to our patients that will come to us, better training for the manpower, and better outcome for the health services delivery.
The partnership is most significant when Nigeria has just signed the National Health Bill. The country has a high burden of people with stroke, and WHO says there is an epidemic of heart-related problems already in Nigeria.
Stroke's a huge problem in Nigeria. Probably 160,000 people a year have a stroke, and it's going to get more and more common as the wealth of the country increases.
Person living with disabilities, stroke is something that we are all apprehensive about.
Working together, we can translate this vision into reality in this center. We have the capacity so to do.
All said, the view from this event is the need to have a coordinated policy approach to the issue of stroke. Necessity for robust public awareness and quality care were also reinforced. The conclusion is stroke is treatable and preventable. Uche Nwizu, NTA News.
Other matters now. Meanwhile, nationwide health workers housing scheme has been flagged off, with President Jonathan urging labor unions to partner with government rather than being confrontational whenever there is an industrial dispute. State House correspondent Shagulawale reports.
Two challenges facing Nigerian workers is housing. And to fill the gap and reduce the deficit, President Jonathan had promised to provide 100,000 housing units for workers for them to own a decent home. It is in fulfillment of the promise that the President officially flagged off the nationwide workers' housing scheme. The first phase of the scheme by the federal government is in collaboration with the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, as well as a private developer.
As we flag off this project today, I promise that our administration will not waver on our commitment to transform our country. And in doing that, we'll make sure that the counterpart infrastructure development of the mass housing is accorded top priority. I call on the entire Nigerian working class to continue to serve as partners in progress with the government and social partners, with the employers through the NLC and TUC. This will ensure that there is industrial harmony in their places of work.
Already, between 2010 and 2014, a total of 43,000 housing units have been added to the national housing stock, particularly for junior and intermediate cadre of workers.
I reaffirm that we will not rest on our oars until we significantly reduce the housing deficit in the country.
Today's event is a clear statement, Mr. President, that you are poised to improve on the welfare of public servants. We say a big thank you to you.
Your Excellency, we share in your belief that workers are the engine room of any productive economy, and their level of welfare can be reflected by the standard of their housing accommodation. Consequently, the provision of adequate housing for workers is not only a product of government benevolence under your distinguished leadership, but a compelling necessity.
This is a call for us to support Mr. President so that he can continue to deliver on his transformational agenda in ensuring that Nigeria is taken to the next level.
The leadership of the NLC and TUC, who represented the beneficiaries, expressed profound appreciation to the President and the Federal Capital Territory Administration for making one of the dreams of workers a reality, especially waivers on the property expected to reduce the cost of the unit.
Your government has etched its name in gold in the mind of Nigerian workers. It remains indelible, and therefore our gratitude.
I would want to plead that the FCT minister or the conglomeration of the ministers looking at this thing will have to initiate something to make sure that we resolve these issues at a round table discussion, so that all these waivers will now be seen to translate into reduction of the cost of the housing for Nigerian workers.
The uniqueness of this particular scheme is that while houses will be built in large numbers, they will be of high quality and of very decent
an affordable rate. In other words, a percentage of the monthly salary will now go towards the monthly mortgage repayment as opposed to paying 1 or 2 years rent in advance to landlords.
The first phase of the project, located at Akpo, Tafei district of Abuja, is to be completed by the end of May 2015. In Abuja, Segun Lawole, NTA News.
The Yuletide is associated with increased vehicular movement and road accidents. To reduce the spate of road accidents this season, the Federal Road Safety Corps has put in place strategies which include regular checks and mobile courts to try traffic offenders. Nancy Gonanunihu reports.
Official records from the FRSC confirm that accident rate and carnage on the roads increased during Yuletide celebrations. For example, in 2011, a total of 3,000 accident deaths were recorded, out of which 94 were Christmas travel road mishaps in 5 days alone. Also in 2012, a total of 4,260 died in road accidents across Nigeria. The highest number occurred in December, where an average of 15 people died daily among 473 deaths involving 1,115 vehicles. And in 2013, out of 6,450 deaths, 1,358 came from car crash. The FRSC traced most of the accidents to drunk driving and overspeeding. The Corps has, among other things, made available a free 247 telephone number 122 to be dialed in times of traveling distress.
We have increased our visibility. We are creating about 20 help areas at the critical corridors. The country has been partitioned as usual into 23 corridors for effective patrol operations. And all the critical black spots are going to be effectively manned. Then on enforcement, we are going to deal more with the issue of overloading, lane violation, speed violation. We've acquired with appreciation from the World Bank through the Federal Ministry of Works. We have evidence-based radar guns now and alcoholizers, and we've just taken delivery of additional heavy-duty tow trucks and heavy-duty bikes from the Honorable Minister through the World Bank.
As a deterrent, the FRSC has also established more mobile courts to try offenders.
In case of breakdown, we are ready to carry out our roles effectively with full enforcement. So if you don't want any infraction with the core members of the Corps, do not overload your vehicle, fasten your seat belt, and don't use phone while driving. And we are going to test most of the drivers on drunk driving. We want to ensure that everybody gets home safely.
The Corps Marshal, Mr. Oyeyemi, appealed for the cooperation of road users for accident-free celebrations and to avoid spending their Christmas in hospital or in jail. Nancy Godianmunihu, NTA News.
This is news on NTA International. A recap of our major stories. Nigeria's military has repelled suspected Boko Haram attack in Yobe State. You heard that Kashimbela Dam is set for commissioning February next year. We also reported that relief has come the way of stroke sufferers with the partnership of a Nigerian doctor and the Shopi to establish stroke centers. When we return, securing of Gulf of Guinea forms crux of inaugural meeting of ECOWAS maritime chiefs. Details shortly.
You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't beat the rich. NTA.
More news now. The Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters is soliciting additional budget for the judiciary arm of government to enable them to put in place adequate facilities for effective performance of their duties as the 2015 general elections draw near. It was at the oversight visit of the committee to the parastatals under the Ministry of Justice. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports.
The visit reveals that funds have not been adequately released to the parastatals to perform optimally as appropriated by the National Assembly. Having inspected some projects undertaken by the Supreme Court, the committee assured that it would investigate on the alleged sum of 5 billion naira missing from the Supreme Court budget. The committee also visited the National Judicial Commission, the National Industrial Court, the Federal High Court, and the Federal Capital Territory High Court and the National Judicial Council. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Mahmoud Mohammed, says the forthcoming general elections has saddled the judiciary with a lot of responsibilities and called for support.
We will continue to urge on the committee to please ensure that adequate funds should be made available in the budget to ensure the smooth running of the jury. And because, particularly having regard to the fact that next year will be election year.
Chairman of the committee, Dahir Umar, says his findings would be presented to the Senate at plenary for further legislative proceedings.
Nigerians have acknowledged their performance. So what they need is additional funding, more so with their headquarters. If we can be able to make their headquarters completed, I think the nation will be better off.
The visit was part of its oversight functions to ascertain how much has been released to the parastatals so far and how much has been utilized. In Abuja, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Chief of Naval Staff and heads of gendarmes of ECOWAS Maritime Pilot Zone E have risen from an inaugural meeting in Calabar, Cross River State, for a collaborative engagement mechanism in the drive to effectively secure the Gulf of Guinea maritime domain and harness the vast economic resources. Correspondent Mary Niang reports.
The ECOWAS Integrated Maritime Strategy, adopted at the 44th Ordinary Session of the Authority of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government in March 2014, with guidelines to secure the maritime domain in the sub-region, structured the sub-region into 3 zones, E, F, and G, with E, which Nigeria is a member, as the pilot model zone. Consequently, as a step towards the actualization of the guidelines, chiefs of Navy and Gendarmerie of the zone comprising Nigeria, Benin, Niger, and Togo met to deliberate on the way forward for the operationalization and implementation of strategies from January 2015 in line with the Yaoundé Declaration. The Nigerian Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Osman Jibrin, said the institutionalization of the conference was endorsed by the Chiefs of Defense Staff based on the role the forum is expected to play in tackling maritime criminalities in the zone. Declaring the sub-regional security meeting open, the special guest of honor and Minister of Defense, retired Lieutenant General Aliyu Guzo, represented by the Permanent Secretary Alhaji Aliyu Samaila, noted the collective concern to combat piracy and other illicit transnational crimes, which led to the adoption of the United Nations Security Council resolutions 2018 of 2011 and 2039 of 2012.
I want to assure you that there is a reawakening on the part of the federal government to support the process and Nigeria's readiness to host the ECOWAS Regional Maritime Coordination Center in additional assistance in the form of training, infrastructure, and equipment will be provided to enhance the security in the maritime domain.
The ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, Mrs. Salamatu Suleiman, said the operationalization of the maritime zones forms part of the broader scope of the ECOWAS Maritime Security Management Mechanism, which seeks to, among other things, enhance information exchange, training, and capacity building of staff, as well as cooperation between member states.
The zone will have a multinational maritime coordination center,
equipped with its own monitoring and enforcement mechanism, and staffed with representatives from countries of that zone.
The Cross River State Governor, Senator Lieli Moke, represented by his deputy Efio Kabum, highlighted the security challenges confronting the state, especially in the maritime area, and reiterated the resolve of the government to support the initiative. In Calabar, Mary Nyang, NTA News.
People from different parts of the country converged on Abuja to raise their voices in glorious praises to God at the 7th Abuja Festival of Praise, tagged "Let Everything That Hath Breath Praise the Lord." Moplang Dakak reports.
The Festival of Praise is part of the increasing praise and worship offered to the Lord as Christmas draws nearer. Solo and group performances to praise the Lord Most High filled the atmosphere. Former President Yakubu Gowon encouraged Nigerians to form the habit of praising the Lord, adding that praise does a lot of good to a people.
We come not only to listen to beautiful voices, angelic voices, but also to pray for our country, to pray for the peace of our country, to pray for all the problems that we're having.
Other speakers charged Christians to pray for the good and well-being of the country.
I'm appealing to you all, my brothers and sisters, to spare a thought for our brethren who have lost their homes, who have lost their loved ones.
It's a message of peace and joy to the world. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him will never, never perish.
For Christ is born of Mary.
Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
And the 7th Abuja Festival of Praise does it here on NTA International News at this time. We thank you for watching. I am Oku Ikpayong. Bye for now.
Tropics places like Sokoto with high temperatures, freshly flayed hide and skin can only keep for several hours before it putrefies. Knowing the danger of their products, laying hide and skin traders have traditional methods of preventing it. These involve the process of reducing or poisoning the moisture content of raw hides and skins. It is called curing or preservation.